in reaching a decision, and the quorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. This meeting is being conducted virtually via video conferencing in lieu of meeting in the council chambers at Summit City Hall, Summit, New Jersey. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube page. Members of the public can view the meeting by following the link provided on the agenda. Dennis Galvin is the zoning board's attorney. He will advise the board members on matters of law and is the key interface with an applicant's attorney. Mr. Galvin does not vote on the application. Chris Nicola is the city employee and is the zoning board secretary. Mr. Nicola works with applicants on getting their applications together, planning their agendas, and keeping our meeting minutes. Mr. Nicola also does not vote on the applications. Our board consists of 7 regular members and up to 4 alternates. All members can participate.
Sam, you got a picture of a dog.
7 can vote.
Wait a minute, Mr. Yuko, somebody's making noise, which is,
I think
Yeah,
I'm.
please mute your microphones if you're not speaking. Thank you.
and then can you pick up from all members?
Sure. All members can participate in hearings tonight, but a maximum of 7 can vote. Most applications require a simple majority to be approved. Some applications require 5 affirmative votes to be approved. You'll be told which majority will be required before we begin our deliberations. Mr. Nicola, please call the roll of the members and please unmute for purposes of attendance taking.
Chairman Yuko,
Here.
Vice Chairman Spur,
Here.
Mr. Laderi. He may be muted, but we'll keep going. Mr. Steiner,
Here.
Ms. Newell,
Here.
Mr. Mullen,
Here.
Ms. Schwartzstein,
Here.
Ms. Hensel is excused. Mr. Malay,
Here.
Mr. Loiketz,
Here.
and for the record, Mr. Galvin's here, and you have a quorum. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you. We generally hear the cases in the order they listed on the agenda. However, we intend to carry cases that we know we cannot reach this evening. So please listen to when the board carries the application, to the date the board carries the application to, or contact the board secretary. There will be no further notice. Of the cases we will hear, we will try to have each hearing last no more than 30 minutes. But we do understand that some cases are too complex to be heard within that time frame. Each hearing begins with the applicant or their attorney giving an overview of the application and the variances that are required. We then hear from any expert witnesses the applicant may have to help explain the application and why the variances are needed. The board members may ask questions of the applicant, their attorney, and the expert witnesses. Once board members and the board professionals are done with their questioning, the public will have an opportunity to ask questions. That is not the time to tell us what you think about this case. That opportunity comes at the end of the hearing. Before you ask your questions, we need to know who you are and where you live. This is even more important under the current circumstances. After we've completed the public hearing is closed and go into executive session where the board members discuss the case and vote. You'll be able to listen to our executive session, but you're not normally able to participate in that discussion. Most applications are heard and decided in the same evening. If a case requires additional information or testimony that cannot be presented tonight, we'll carry a case to another date and it will not be decided tonight. Krista Anderson, the city zoning officer, has asked to remind all applicants that they must read carefully the resolution that documents the zoning board's decision and to pay particular attention to the conditions contained in the resolution. For example, if a landscaping plan is required, you must obtain one and submit it to John Winston, the city's forester. If a grading plan is required, you must have one prepared by a civil engineer and submit 3 copies along with the application fee to the city's engineering division. Failure to satisfy all conditions in the resolution will result in a delay in approving your application, as will cause extra work for city zoning staff. The resolutions documenting the board's decision will normally be available 1 month after we decide the case. So I call your name, please tell me how many witnesses you have and whether you think you can complete your case within 30 minutes. I'm going to go through the order that's on the agenda just so I don't miss anything, but like I said, we're going to be carrying a number of cases. So the first case listed on the agenda is Jonathan Flax, 57 Prospect Street, which I know our intention is to carry to June 1st. I believe that's worked out with the applicant. Is that correct, Mr. Nolan?
Yes, that's correct.
So I need a motion to carry the case to June 1st, and I believe they've also waived the right to the rules to timely act on the case. Is that correct too?
Yes, that's also correct.
They waived the time in which we have to act.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Galvin. So on that basis, I'll take a motion to carry the case to June 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Steiner.
All right, second by
And
Mr.
please, board
Mullin.
members, please identify yourselves when you make motions or seconds. Okay, Mr. Cole.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Steiner and a second from Mr. Mullin. All in favor?
All
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Okay, next, and actually the first case we're going to hear tonight is Mark Nagus, 9 Prospect Hill Avenue. All right, please say you're present if you're present. I think you're there.
Present.
Do you have any witnesses?
Yes, we have one, our architect, John Lyons.
And they're on the screen somewhere. I remember seeing that name. There he is, right next to you. Okay, very good.
Like match game.
Okay, Cardone Contracting, 149 Hillcrest Avenue. Believe that's
Evening, Mr.
Dempsey
Chairman.
Dempsey.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Samantha Alfonso of Dempsey and Sheehan here on behalf of the applicant, Cardone Contracting.
And how many witnesses?
We have 2 witnesses, potentially 3.
Okay, and they're all present on the screen here somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Next is Elizabeth and John Cully, 162 Oak Ridge Avenue.
I'm present right here.
Okay, and do you have any witnesses?
I do not.
Okay. All right, now we have several cases we're going to be carrying. Sharon French, 1 Sweetbriar Road. And I believe the intention there is also to carry that case to June 1st with the applicant waiving the time in which the board is required to act. Is that correct, Mr. Nicola?
yes.
Okay. So is there a motion to carry that case to June 1st?
Steiner moves to carry.
Even Spur seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Okay, next is Mr. and Mrs. Myring, 18 Ruthven Place. Same carry date, same waiver of time in which we need to act. So June 1st for 18 Ruthven Place. Is there a motion?
Okay, Steiner moves to carry.
Okay,
And Newell seconds.
There you go.
All in favor?
aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none.
Okay, next is Daniel and Cheryl Brown, 18 Joanna Way. Same thing, the proposal is carried to June 1st with the waiver of the time in which the board needs to act. Is there a motion?
Spur moves.
Newell
Second.
second. Newell second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, all right.
Okay. Next is Bergen Capital Partners LLC, 3840 Park Avenue. The proposal there is to carry it to June 15th with the expectation or with them being the only application on for that evening. Again, they've also waived the time which the board has to act. So it's June 15th for 38-40 Park Avenue. Is there a motion?
Mullen moves.
Spur
Second?
seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none.
Okay. And the last case to carry is Beacon Unitarian Church, 4 Waldron Avenue. There, the proposal is to carry to July 6th, again, though, giving them the whole evening. And also they've accepted to waive the time in which the board needs to act. Is there a motion to carry that case to July 6th?
Newell move to motion.
Spur second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
Okay. So now we're ready for Mark Nagus, 9 Prospect Hill. There you are. So unmute yourself. Okay, and I'm Mr. Galvin. Will need to swear you in.
All right. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about the given this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and spell your last name.
Negus, Negus.
And Mrs. Negus, could you spell, what's your full name?
Tara Nicole Ferris Negus.
We're good. Please proceed. Tell us a little bit about your case.
So first of all, thank you for finding a way to let us present our application. My name is Tara. I'm here with my husband, Mark. And we are requesting approval of our plans to improve the overall aesthetic of our home. We've been residents of Summit since we moved to the New Jersey area 4 years ago. We immediately fell in love with Summit and feel incredibly fortunate to have found this great street that we live on with wonderful neighbors and friends. And our proximity to town is quite frankly unbeatable. Our children are in the public school and we're very supportive and active in the community. As I said, we are requesting a variance or approval of our overall plans to improve the aesthetic of our home. We are making this request for 3 reasons. The first is we have a non-conforming lot that creates a hardship for us to conform to code. Our lot narrows in the back, and so we cannot achieve a side-facing attached garage. We would like to reduce our overall lot coverage by creating an attached garage and allowing us a larger open space in our backyard area. Also, we would like privacy for us and our neighbors. We have a non-conforming lot, as I mentioned, and their property is also non-conforming in that it's on the property line. Currently, their kitchen windows look onto our driveway and onto our backyard. The proposed placement of a new garage will not be visible from our neighbor's home and will allow us to gain privacy through landscaping. It will also allow us to reduce the disturbance to our neighbors that occurs when we park in our garage. Currently, when we go to park in our garage, our headlights will often shine in their kitchen windows. So I'd also like to mention that we've discussed our plans with our neighbors, the Redferns, the Blackers, the Sellards, which are immediately next to us and across the street from us. They all expressed their support of our plans, which we view as an overall improvement of the aesthetic and consistent with the overall aesthetic of our neighbors. As I said earlier, we brought our architect with us, John Lyons, who can answer any technical questions that you might have.
Okay, before I proceed, I just expanded my screen here and I noticed that Mr. Lardieri is present. Is that in fact you there, Mr. Lardieri?
I am here, Tom. Good to see
Okay,
you.
I don't know if we captured that earlier, but I see that he's there. I just wanted to say that. And just for purposes of board members, we're going to do things a little differently tonight in terms of questions for the applicants and witnesses. When an applicant is done or witness is done, I'm going to ask you one by one if you have any questions. If you do, great. If you don't, that's okay too. So let's, the applicant has given their opening statements. Let me just ask quickly, Mr. Spur, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions for the applicant.
Mr. Lardieri, any questions for the applicant?
No, I came in a little late, but no, I do not have any questions at the moment.
Okay. Mr. Steiner, any questions for the applicant?
No, I'm good at this point.
Okay. Ms. Newell, any questions for the applicant?
No.
Mr. Mullen, any questions for the applicant?
I am recused.
That's right. I'm sorry. Let the record show Mr. Mullen is recused. Apologize, I forgot that. And if Mr. Lardieri came in late, I guess he actually can't vote on this case. You didn't hear did you hear the complete applicant statement, Mr. Lardieri?
I checked in probably about 2 minutes ago, not even.
Yeah, Mr. Laderi won't vote. We'll do
Okay.
it. You can participate, but you're not going to cast a vote.
Okay.
Right.
I believe I left it off with Mr. Mullen. I asked you if you had questions, right?
No question from
And
me.
you're recused. And Ms. Schwartzstein, do you have questions?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Molly, I heard you say no questions. Mr. Loikis, any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, then let's hear from the applicant's architect, Mr. Lyons. I think he'll need to be sworn.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Say your full name for the record, spell your last name.
John Lyons, Lyons.
Mr. Lyons, you look familiar, but give me 3 boards that you've appeared before recently. Do not include Summit.
Okay, sure. Burnsville, Burns Township, Morris Township, Chatham,
3.
Jenborough, and Chatham.
That's
That's good
4.
enough.
We accept your credentials, John. Put your hand
Going
down.
for extra credit.
We will accept this credentials. Please proceed.
If it would please the board, I would like to share my screen so we can look at the drawings. Okay, so what everyone is looking at and should be able to see on their screen are these are the same drawings that were submitted to the board and that the board has a copy of. Starting with, this is drawing C 1.0, which is, everyone should also be able to see my cursor on the screen. I'll try to use that to direct the conversation.
We got it, John. You're doing good.
Great. So on the left side of the screen, this is the existing site plan. On the right side, this is the proposed site plan. And in the middle, this is the zoning chart, which lists all the zoning requirements. I'm going to zoom in. Well, just to give, first off, to give you an overview. If you direct your attention to the proposed site plan, and I will zoom in slightly so we have, it's a little bigger. We are proposing a proposed one-story addition for a garage on the left side of the existing home. We're also proposing to remove the existing porch on the front of the home and add a new proposed two-story addition for a porch. The proposed garage one-story addition, this is the addition which is triggering our need for a variance. There are no variances required for the front porch addition. Now focusing on the zoning requirements for the property, we are in the R25 zone. And the first line, you see the minimum lot areas. We, as Tara mentioned, we are an existing non-conforming lot. We are undersized. In the R25 zone, the minimum lot area is 25,000 square feet. Our property is 18,626. So that's existing non-conforming for lot size. We also have a hardship for the shape of the lot. As you can see, at Prospect Hill, the property is about roughly 139 linear feet. At the rear of the property, it's only 65. The property tapers from Prospect back to the rear of the property. There are a couple numbers on our zoning chart, which I'm going to refer to in Krista Anderson's, in her notes on our submittal. She tweaked some numbers, so we'll use Krista's numbers from her notes. So moving on to the next line of the chart, for lot width, the required lot width is 100 feet. And Krista has the lot width at 121.5 linear feet. The front yard, the required front yard is 35 feet. We have no issue with front yard. We're at 63.7. Rear yard, we're also fine. We have no issues for variance there. Side yard is our first variance. Individual side yard, we are requiring a variance. The required is 17 feet. And you'll see on our proposed site plan, we are at 10 feet. But the proposed garage. The second required variance is side yard total as a percentage. Required is 40%. Existing, for Krista's numbers, we are at 29.22 and proposed 18.52%. So that would be the second variance that is required. One of the benefits of this project is we're actually improving the lot coverage. Existing required lot coverage is 30%. And existing, we're actually non-conforming. We're over for lot coverage. We're at 33%. By removing the driveway and the garage at the rear of the property, we would be able to improve that to 24.6%, which would be in conformance. Max building coverage, we're also improving that with our project. The required is 14%. The existing building coverage is at 15.1%. We're improving that to 14.6%. While it is not in conformance, it's closer to conforming. We have no height issues, no maximum stories, and FAR, we are substantially under. We're at 20% where we are allowed 25% for FAR. Our last variance is for a front-facing garage. Our property, again, is 130 feet at Prospect and narrows down to 65. With the new DRO, properties less than 90, greater than 90 feet, less than 90 feet are permitted to have a front-facing garage. We are, again, at our lot width with the averaging at the front yard setback, we're at 121. So our last variance is for the front-facing garage. So we believe that our hardships are the existing non-conforming lot size being undersized and the narrowing of the property down to 65 feet is what's triggering the need for our variance. Now that we've talked about the variances that are required, I would like to go through the rest of the drawings. Second drawing, which is drawing C1.1, is the site map of the properties and properties within 200 feet of the property. Just to give you your bearings, here's Springfield Avenue. If you turn off Springfield onto Lenox, we are the third lot on the right. As you turn onto Prospect Hill, our property, lot 22, is shown in yellow. That's the property. You can see here that it has that narrowing effect, and then it moves on. Prospect connects into Whitridge. Our next drawing is A1.0. This on the left side, this is our existing first floor plan, and on the right side, this is the proposed first floor plan. Zooming in on the proposed. This is the proposed garage, which is 23 feet by 24'6". This is our this is the proposed porch. What I would like to point out here, and I'll show you the elevations also, is we think one of the things we're doing in the project is improving, as Tara said, really improving the overall aesthetic of the home. Currently, the home has a front porch across the entire front, but it's for lack of a better term, it's confusing to look at it because it looks like it has two front entries. We're trying to resolve that, and I'll show you that it's a little more clearly when we get to the elevation. So this is the existing front porch, which would be removed, and this is the proposed smaller front porch, which allows us to create one main entry into the house. Existing second floor plan. Our garage is only 1 story, so that you're just seeing the roof below the garage. And on the second floor, we are creating some new space above that porch for extending. It's the existing master bedroom, but we're just using some of the new space above the porch to make that room a little bigger. Existing attic floor plan, no change at the attic other than there is, we raised the ceiling in that master bedroom and we're just gaining that space. Other than that, no changes on the attic.
I don't think this is the house.
Moving on to the elevations, this is sheet A2.0. On this sheet, you can see what I referenced earlier. This is the existing front elevation, and on the right, this is the existing left side elevation. The existing front elevation, you can see when you look at it from the street currently, it looks like it has 2 front doors. Below that, this is our proposed front elevation where we've made the porch smaller. We've created a central access with a main front entry to make the home, we feel look more appropriate, tie into the designs of what it should be. This is our proposed garage addition on the left side. And what I would like to point out here is on the left side, you can see where that garage is. We tried to tie in to match the existing roof pitches so that it would look appropriate. It would look as if it was supposed to be there with the original home. And the windows, the detailing on the windows and the trim work would be similar to the improved new home. Moving on to drawing A2.1. This is our existing rear elevation and proposed rear elevation. On the existing rear, you can see in the back, we are converting this screen porch into interior space. However, that space, the size of the space is not changing. That's existing. You can see here, this is the rear of the garage. There's an existing covered porch here that projects out to this point, and then this is the garage behind that. On the right side, this is the existing right side of the home, and the proposed right side. Only changes here are you see the front porch with that. We added that space for the master bedroom, and you can see where we converted the screen porch into interior space. Moving back to the site plan. A couple of key factors I want to point out while we're looking at this, and Tara also mentioned this. Some of the other benefits of what we're proposing are the Negus' neighbor. Their home is very close to the property line. It's between 5 and 10 feet from the property line. Currently, when the Negus get home, they drive down their driveway and they drive all the way past it. And there are windows on this side of the home, the fact that their neighbors see them, the cars are there. And what we're proposing, we'd be able to bring this to the front, and because their neighbor's home is set back so far, they'll actually be beyond that, and the cars and the light will stop closer and earlier on. So our side yard setback of 10 feet would be similar to the neighboring property. Again, just mentioning our proposed project improves lot coverage. It also to a point where lot coverage is conforming, which is currently isn't non-conforming. It improves building coverage, not to conforming, but it is improved to within 0.6% of conforming. The neighboring home will be less impacted by the vehicular traffic and by the lights from cars. And then lastly, again, just restating that we are an existing non-conforming lot. We are undersized lot, 18,626 square feet, where 25,000 is required. And we have the uniqueness of the property becoming narrower, and where the home is set, we are unable to get to a side entry garage.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. You know, I have to apologize. I had one question I wanted to ask the applicant. Let me just readjust my screen here. All right, so the applicant, are you there somewhere?
Yes,
we're here.
Okay, one question I have for you. Did you notice the forester's comment about adding screening to the south rear property line? Recommending that you add screening. Is that, if we made that as a condition of the application, would that be acceptable to you?
that would be acceptable to us, yes.
No, I think that would be a plan that would be submitted to the forester for his approval.
Okay.
Mr. Galvin?
Yeah, along those same lines, earlier in the testimony, they suggested they were going to add landscaping. I'm thinking that that would be appropriate for the forester to take a look at as well.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, and Mr. Lyons, before I get the board member, yeah, Ms. Galvin?
But is there anybody from the public that's interested in this case, just to give us an idea?
All right, I'll still ask for questions when we get there, but it sounds like there's nobody. I just want to compliment Mr. Lyons. You got a very nice feedback from the Historical Preservation Commission and the applicant too on the plans you're making, so thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay. So questions for the architect. Mr. Spur, any questions?
Oh, there we go. Maybe questions for the architect or perhaps the applicant. The engineer's report raised a question about any planned stormwater management improvements. I don't know if that came up as part of the architectural work, or the applicants maybe want to comment on that.
Sure. If a lot grading plan is required, we'd be happy to have one prepared by a civil engineer. So we would be in contact with as part of the building permit submittal, we would be in contact with the engineering department to see if one was required.
So you can comply with the engineer's letter, correct?
Correct.
That'll be a condition of approval.
Agreed.
Okay. And I assume also because of the improvements to lot coverage and building coverage, the demands for additional stormwater management isn't so much necessary. So that's fine. Two other points I think were raised perhaps as part of the engineer's report, but is there a generator on the property at present? I'm sorry if I can't see it on the diagram.
Yeah, there's no generator.
Okay. And is there plans for a generator, or?
Mark, I think go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
I think what they may be referring to is on these surveys, the surveyor had marked at this square, at this back corner as a generator. Is that something else that was mismarked?
Yeah, that's actually it's an air conditioning unit that feeds into the attic. It was here when we purchased the property.
Okay. If that's an air conditioning unit, I suppose it would need to be screened per the ordinance, but my question more so is around the generator. So that's fine. There's no generator on the property, and it appears there's no plan for a generator to be added as part of this application.
Let's not give up that quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Dennis.
In my experience, which is starting to become long, I don't like when I see GEN dot.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the testimony is, somebody else is going to interpret that different later on. So I think that might have to come off the plan.
Could we make it a condition of approval that we would revise the plan so it didn't say AC, was marked correctly?
Are you going to have AC on the left and the right side?
No, I think, our air conditioning is so old. I think that we would be looking to modernize our existing. And if we could remove the one that's over on that side of the property, I think we would be more than happy to do so.
We're showing 2 proposed air conditioning condensers at the rear of the garage.
Right. And
And then the applicant's proposal is that what's currently marked Gen will be removed completely. There'll be nothing there, no generator, no air conditioner. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
that makes me happy. I want that Gen off the document.
Okay. And I suppose when those new plans are submitted, they'll reflect Krista Anderson's numbers as well. I think that was an earlier comment. Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, there was a point raised, I believe, also in the engineer's report about the driveway. Is it meant to be paved at the conclusion of the construction?
I mean, it's gravel today. I don't know that we have any immediate plans to pave it.
Okay. I don't know. I'll have to pass this on elsewhere. I don't know. I can't recall if that affects any of the lot coverage calculations under Summit's DRO. But I think that perhaps is why it was raised in the engineer's letter.
It's currently counted as lot coverage.
Okay, then it should be covered. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you so much.
All right, before I proceed, I think Mr. Dower is here. I meant to call on you. Mr. Dower, do you have anything to add on this application?
No, we just discussed as far as the gravel. Gravel is included in impervious coverage, but they are reducing both impervious coverage and building coverage. So there's no reason to have additional stormwater management concerns.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Gualtieri, any questions?
Unless I missed it, I see a little notation here about existing non-conforming patio. It seems to be well buffered, but it's something for the board to either agree or disagree on about a variance being granted for this.
I read that in the notes also. I think that was in Krista's notes.
Yes, yes.
Not a problem, kids. Not a problem. If we agree with I'll include that in the resolution. Krista does that often where she points out an existing non-compliant situation. And if the rest of the board agrees with Mr. Ladari's view on that, I'll just include that in the resolution as something that we're looking at favorably.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Anything else?
Well,
Mr. Gualtieri?
if that is the area where the generator is marked, does that patio still need to be there, or is it being removed?
No, I think the patio is planned to stay. The patio is they use the patio. It's just the generator, which is an AC condenser, is non-functional at this point. But it's just an old generator, an old condenser that was never removed. But the patio would be to remain.
Okay, whose phone is ringing?
I just got rid of it. Yes.
All right, Mr. Steiner, any other questions?
No, I'm all right.
Okay, Ms. Newell, any
You should have
questions?
kept your mouth quiet. You didn't have to tell us.
No questions.
Okay. Ms. Schwartzstein, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Molly, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Liketts, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, anybody in the public have any questions? Okay. Hearing none, okay. And I guess that was your only witness, correct? Applicant?
Correct.
Okay. Anybody in the public want to tell us what they think about this case, pro or con? Okay, hearing none. Mr. or Mrs. Nagus, anything you want to say in conclusion? You don't need to, it's up to you.
Nothing further to add.
Good.
Okay, all right, very good. Mr. Galvin, want to review the conditions?
Yeah, I have 3 conditions at this point. One is compliance with the engineer's letter, which will be attached to the resolution. Another is going to be that they're going to make submit their landscape plan to Mr. Linson, which is going to include meeting his comments. And the final thing is that the plan is to be revised to delete the word Gen.
Okay, sounds good. And that's all okay with the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And I just would point out to the board, I think Mr. Lyons did a good job of pointing out that This would not only be a C2 variance, it'd also be a C1 variance due to the unique shape of the lot that kind of drives the need for the variance here.
Okay. With that, I'll open up for deliberations. Just please state your name, board members, when you start commenting. Right now, I can't see the whole screen, so. Your name, Mr. Likis, could you stop?
If you guys time out. The Mr. Lyons go to mute, and the Neguses should go to mute, and anybody who's not a board member should go to mute.
Mr. Galvin, should I stop the share or do you want me to keep the drawings active?
What's that?
Would you like me to keep the drawings active?
Yeah, go ahead. You can keep them active for right now, John. All right.
Okay, who'd like to begin deliberation?
God bless you.
I'll start the deliberations. This is Stephen Spur. I think, frankly, Mr. Galvin brought up probably the most salient point in the application is the irregular lot size and shape really drives a hardship here of sorts. The applicant and the architect have done a good job in considering potential negative impact on the neighbors, and I'm particularly grateful for their efforts to decrease the lot coverage as well as building coverage. And really bring no negative impact, no conceivable negative impact. And then, with the glowing review from the Historic Preservation Commission, there's also, clear positive impact, frankly, through this this application. So for those reasons, netting it all out, I certainly could look to support the application.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts they want to share? Anybody, deliberation? Well, I'll just say I support the application too for all the reasons Mr. Spur stated. It's a very attractive house now, and based on the historical preservation comments, they are very supportive, and the applicant and the architect have shown a lot of concern in preserving the look of the house and preserving the character for the neighborhood. It doesn't seem like it's going to have a significant impact on the immediate next door neighbor. In fact, it might even be an improvement for the next door neighbor moving that garage. So for all those reasons, I'd be inclined to support it as well. Anybody have any contrary comments or anything to add for deliberation? No. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve, Spur.
Second,
Who said second?
Michael Lardier.
No, Michael's not going to second it. Somebody
I
else.
can't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can't vote. You
Oh,
were
come
a
on.
little bit late.
Newell seconds it.
Right. And don't call Mr. Laderi and don't call Mr. Mullen. Go ahead, Chris.
Vice Chairman Spur,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Newell,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartzstein,
Yes.
Mr. Malay, Mr. Malay,
Yes.
Mr. Loikitz,
Yes.
and Chairman Yuko.
Yes. Okay, good luck with your project. Next on the
Thank
agenda.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Next on the agenda is Cardone Contracting, 149 Hillcrest Avenue. I believe they're represented by Dempsey Sheehan. I guess Alonso Alfonso is here. There she is somewhere. Yep, there she is.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If I may share my screen so I can show the exhibits previously marked.
Sure.
Thank you.
This is it, DJ.
This application regards the property located at 149 Hillcrest Avenue, block 2105, lot 29. The proposal includes the construction of a single-family home with a full basement, 3-car garage, driveway, front walk, and a rear patio. Exhibit A3, shown on the screen now, provides a conceptual perspective. The home will be substantially similar to the concept shown. Due to the topography and other physical conditions affecting the site, variance relief from the ordinance regulating steep slopes is necessary to improve this property consistent with the zone ordinance. The property was originally developed with a single-family home, which was demolished by a previous owner around 2006. The existing 26,000, approximately 900 square foot conforming lot has been vacant since that time, with the exception of an existing 2,500 approximate square foot driveway. The applicant's ability to improve the property is severely limited by the existence of approximately 14,000 square feet of regulated steep slopes, where steep slopes comprise about 55% of the lot. The buildable area is also significantly limited by a 50-foot riparian buffer. The applicant has obtained NJDEP flood hazard area verification and individual permit to construct the project as proposed. The proposal will improve the riparian zone, comply with regulations of the NJDEP, improve stormwater management, and allow for the construction of this aesthetically pleasing summit-style home. The proposal promotes the purpose of the R25 zone district by seeking to preserve the integrity of this residential zone and reflect the best of the neighborhood character, particularly in terms of the scale, siting, design features, and orientation on the site. As indicated by the Historic Preservation Committee in their report dated January 27th, 2020, the applicant and his professionals prepared the proposal to be consistent with the scale, height, and proportions of the adjacent properties. The variance relief requested is necessary for disturbance of approximately 7,057 square feet of regulated steep slopes. The project was engineered, designed, and landscaped. I'm sorry? If there was a question, please feel free to stop me. This project was engineered, designed, and landscaped to meet the intent and purpose of the steep slope ordinance by minimizing the impact caused by unmanaged stormwater, calling for a robust stormwater system, including 5 dry wells to control the stormwater. Now, I'm open to questions from the board, if you have any.
Any questions from board members for the attorney before we hear from the witnesses? I believe the witnesses are the architect and engineer, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, any questions from board members for Ms. Alfonso? Okay, hearing none, you can call your first witness.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I'd like to call Bill Hollows, please.
I am here.
Thank you, Bill. Bill, could you please give your name and address, and if you could be sworn in to give testimony?
William Hollows, 192 Central Avenue, Sterling, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and land surveyor.
Spell your last name, Bill.
I'm so sorry if I may interrupt.
Hold on. Everyone should be on mute except for Samantha, Dennis, and William, and Tom Yuko. Okay? Go ahead, Bill. Spell your last name.
Dennis, you may be stopping me. I'm sorry.
LLWS.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Mr. Chairman, we accept Mr. Hollows' credentials, correct?
Yes, we do, absolutely, yep.
Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Thank you. My apologies. I meant to introduce Michael, but I can discuss with Bill if Bill, we wouldn't mind discussing the existing conditions and proposal.
Sure. I don't know whether you can see this drawing.
Here, I can stop my screen. Can everyone see Bill?
I can see Bill. I mean, I think we all have the exhibit.
Is that the drawing we all received by email earlier?
This is the existing conditions drawing.
So that would be Exhibit A1.
I think we all got it by email.
No, there was a case, Chris, you gotta help me out, Chris. Which case was it that had the exhibit that we added today?
It was this one. It was
Okay.
A4.
So Mr. Steiner's correct, but he's not looking at that picture and the one that we got today are different.
Yeah.
The one we got today had brown information on it. The ones he's holding up is the ones with green, which are the existing and the proposed conditions, which we got earlier.
Well, I'll get to the brown.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is that Mr. Galvin is indicating that we don't have the right one, but apparently we do.
Well, I just wanted to show you what was here today. And then what you showed, the brown part that you have on the other drawing is when that single family house was on that site. All I've done is covered up the house with green paper here.
Okay, so what you have is exactly what we have, but you've covered up the brown area.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just for speaking purposes, the top of the drawing is north, the bottom of the drawing is south. The right side would be east, the west side is, or the left side is west. And the property is located on the south side of Hillcrest Avenue, just opposite Woodmere Drive, Woodmere Road. As Samantha had said, it's 26,993 square feet. It's approximately 190 feet deep by 135 feet wide. It is in the R25 zone, which requires 25,000 square feet of lot area. And the property slopes up from Hillcrest Avenue to the rear of the property. It's approximately in the middle of the property, it's about a 20-foot rise. And then there's a knob on the left or the west side that's up another 10 feet. And what you see out there today is a paved driveway along the easterly property line that serviced the single family house that was taken down in 2006. Adjacent to that driveway is a stream that runs in a northerly direction. It's more of a wet weather drainage course where there's a lot of storm drainage in the area that goes to this stream. So at times of rainfall, the stream will run pretty good. And then probably in August, it's just about dry. And just to give you an idea, I think this is what you have. And I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like today. And then this is where the footprint of the house that was there in 2006. It was a single family dwelling, a 1-story house that was rather long and kind of narrow. And in addition, the property is fairly wooded, except for the area. If you've been out to the site, which most board members go out there, you can see where this house was at one time. The second drawing that I have is in Samantha.
Okay, Mr. Hollows is frozen.
Yeah, I think.
Sterling Wi-Fi.
We were doing so well.
There he is.
Oh, Mr. Hollows, you're back.
But we didn't hear you there.
Yeah, Mr. Hollows, you dropped out for about 30 seconds.
I'm sorry. I was asking Samantha to pull this drawing up so you could see it.
Sure. Sure, I can do that.
Nice dog.
That's
Thank
the
you.
one. This is what we're proposing to do is construct a two-story single family residence. And per the DEP permit that we received, we're going to be moving the driveway approximately 5 feet to the west. That was one of the requirements of the permit, was to try to get 15 feet from the bank of the stream for that driveway to be moved over. It's basically, we're gonna have the same spot off of Hillcrest Avenue, same curb opening. And then we'll just be approximately 5 feet over. In addition, some of the present driveway will be removed from the end of this driveway. It's a little bit shorter. What you don't see on this drawing and what we're proposing to do is we're proposing 5 dry wells, which take into account all the roof area of the house. And per Mr. Dewar's comments earlier on, we were in the process of putting these plans together. He had asked me if we could capture some of the water from the top of the driveway. So we'll put a drain in here, and we'll actually have the 5 dry wells get the house in the upper part of the driveway. Now, to my knowledge, and looking at the site, and I've been here several times, I see no stormwater management that serviced that previous house there in any form. So with this construction, with this proposed construction, the conditions will be better than what they were when that house was on this site. Now, what we plan on doing, and this is something that DEP regulates, we're going to be putting in native vegetation along the driveway, which is going to be American holly. And that's something that Mr. Linson's comments stressed really, is to try to screen this property somewhat from the house to the east, which really sits up pretty high compared to our lot. And then we're going to have green giant arborvitae on the west side of the property. And then in the back, it's a combination of some evergreens and some deciduous trees. And the house behind us actually sits down much lower than our house would sit. Well, this actually is kind of a hump in the back of the property. Now, in order to do this construction, what we're going to be doing is having a soil erosion plan and construction fencing. The construction fencing would go around the limit of disturbance that goes around, it's a heavy line that we have dashed around the property. And that limit of disturbance would have a construction fence around it to protect the trees that we don't want to take down. And then along the front of the property, we'd have silt fence. And then along the stream area, we would have a super silt fence, which is much more substantial than the fencing the silt fence that you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, those type of stores. And just to kind of give you an idea of the amount of disturbance.
Bill, do you want me to show the plan?
No, you're okay. I just got to find my notes where I had the breakdown of the steep slopes. I think there's approximately 15,000 square feet of steep slopes on the property, and we're going to disturb about 7,000 of it to build this house. As far as the wooded area, the area along Hillcrest Avenue won't be touched as far as the trees, probably back about 50 feet or so. And then along the rear property line, the trees won't be touched. And then again, along the stream area, they won't be disturbed for the site grading. So really, I think with what we're proposing here, as far as the new vegetation, I think Mr. Linson had indicated there were 28 trees that would come down, and our count would be 31 new trees installed. Again, those are more for some screening, and I'm sure that when the house gets built, there'll be some kind of foundation plantings also added to the facade of the house. We don't really get into that type of planning with Mr. Linson. It's more of a screening and of the property lines. But the addition of the construction fence and the silt fence, I think we're taking all the precautions we can possibly take. In addition, as far as putting the stormwater management system, it's a big upgrade to what was there years ago. I think this would turn out to be a really nice project if the board were to approve it.
So Bill, you're going to stabilize the slope.
Yeah, yes,
Then
yes,
you're going to improve the stormwater runoff.
that's correct.
And it's going to be attractive once they replant everything.
Yes, it will be.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to a little bit beyond that, because Mr. Linson did request a couple things. He requested a tree protection plan and a replacement landscape plan. Has he seen these replacement?
He has
No.
not. Fortunately, we got the review letters about a week before this meeting, so we were able to put together this plan. I think I followed his instructions pretty well, but yes, this would have to be approved by Mr. Linson.
So
I
Mr.
got it.
Galvin would need a condition for that.
Yes. The applicant would be, yes,
And with the board engineer's letter.
yes.
Those are the two conditions I have right now.
Mr. Dower, did you have any questions for Mr. Hollows?
No, I think we've addressed everything as far as the stormwater. The issues with the DEP have been resolved. There was, you noticed on the original site plan, there was a little bit of an incursion of the old driveway into the adjacent property. That's been resolved and has actually been pulled
Yeah.
away.
We're going to remove that, and this driveway that we're proposing is a little bit shorter than that driveway for the old house.
Right, so and it pulls it back away from the property line, which is also good. And there's a lot of landscaping that's going to be screening everything. So I really don't have any more questions.
And did I interrupt your testimony, Mr. Hollows? Ms. Alfonso, was Ms.
No,
Hollows? on?
I interrupted his testimony, Tom, because we had enough, okay?
That's okay, thank you.
Okay.
I do just want to address one question that was brought up in the engineering comments. Bill, if you could just explain the tracking pad, and that will avoid the proposed dry well.
Yeah, the comment in the engineer's letter was that the tracking pad would go over the dry well system. The tracking pad would stop at the top of the driveway before we get into the back out area, and the dry wells are in that back out area. That's how we would address that.
And then the one other question, Bill, is the location of HVAC equipment.
That's in the rear of the house, or would be in the rear of the house. I don't think it's shown on this landscape plan. But it would be behind the garage area, to the rear of the house.
And Mr. Dewar, I'll address the run times with Michael Cardone briefly when he comes up.
Samantha?
Yes.
You don't have, is that a generator? Are you talking about a
Yes.
generator?
There's an
Okay, so-
HVAC
so we're
equipment
going
and a
to-
generator.
The generator is going to be exercised between noon and 3 o'clock, Monday through Fridays.
Perfect.
Okay, there's no reason to put your client on in this case, because we're trying to keep things simple to get through this process.
Okay. Okay.
Unless the board has a
Great.
question, some other information.
Okay. So board members, Mr. Spur, any questions for Mr. Hollows?
No questions. Just certainly want to reiterate, this board is a great friend of trees and native vegetation. So, when that landscaping plan does come back in front of Mr. Linson, just want to make sure that with the DEP's shift to the driveway, it includes, whatever the net new number of trees are impacted, so he can, ask for whatever, give back might be appropriate. But otherwise, you've addressed all my questions. So thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Artieri, any questions, Mr. Hollows?
I was going to cover the tracking pad and the HVAC, but that's been covered already. Those are my couple questions. I wasn't going to touch on the Forester. I knew Mr. Spur would jump in on that, so I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Steiner, any questions? Mr. Steiner?
If I could get my mouse to work, would be great. No, I'm fine.
Okay. Ms. Newell, any questions?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Mullen?
No questions at this time.
Okay, Ms. Schwartzstein?
I have a couple questions. I don't know if Mr. Hollows can answer them or if they're really something for the forester, but I heard you say that new trees will be planted, like the hollies and the arborvitaes, but those seem to be different types of trees than what are being cut down for the new house. So I was just wondering if that will affect the water on that property, and whether those trees, you know, I'm sort of concerned with water on that property because it is in that zone. And it seems like it's been untouched for 14 years since that original house was torn down. And I don't know if there are any neighbors that are on tonight or whether any.
Yes.
Well, we'll get to the neighbors in a minute.
I know. I'm just wondering about water. So, and it's already been said, but the trees being cut down are being cut down sort of in the middle of the property. And then these other trees are going to be planted along the edges of the property. But a lot of times, it's one thing if you're cutting down a big oak and then you're planting a small arborvitae. Again, I don't know, Tom, if this is something for the forester, but I do have concerns about that. And then I was just kind of wondering, and I don't know if it's really Mr. Hollows who can answer this question, but is this proposed building that's going to be there a lot larger than what was there in 2006? Do we know?
I think if you go back and you take a look at the existing conditions and the size of that ranch house that was there prior to us, it's probably very similar in size. Because it's twice as long as the house that we're proposing, but it's not as deep. So if you cut the house in half and put it together, it probably would be about the same size as what was as what we're proposing.
True.
But it's also true that no variance is required for whatever house proposes.
I did want to say that, and I missed that. We are seeking only a steep slope variance. We meet all of the other bulk requirements as far as setbacks, lot coverage, building coverage, et cetera. So it's strictly a steep slope variance, which is a function of the property we're dealing with. And we're trying to take care of that with the silt fence and site grading and the construction fencing to save the other trees.
So in this question, was there a question there you were still looking for an answer to, or?
If I could, this is Samantha. I believe,
sure.
If Bill, could you explain a little bit more about the types of trees in terms of the DEPs?
Well, the DEP requires native vegetation in that area. I guess there is an American arborvitae. We just thought the American holly would work good there. And based on Mr. Linson's letter, his comments, it seemed to me that he was really talking about screening. And a deciduous tree is not going to provide screening. So we went to more of the other evergreen type of vegetation.
And Bill,
and if you're out here, I mean, I know everyone thinks of trees as being this bushy thing that goes up there. These trees, because they're so close together, they're like lollipops. They're long stems, and then they're.
And I think we lost Mr. Hollows again. Hopefully he'll be back. All right, Bill, we lost you again for about 30 seconds.
Arborvitae.
Bill, we lost you again for about 30 seconds.
You lost me for 30 seconds?
Yeah, roughly. So if you can just back up a little bit.
Okay. What I was trying to say is that
yada, 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 lollipops.
Yeah, the trees that are there, because they're competing for the sunlight, they're long stems with bushes on the top. And I think we think of trees, if you're out in the farmer's field, where it's a beautiful tree because it's shaped all around. And I think that the evergreens that we're proposing would be able to do that. They would have a shape all around. That's really what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent we'll rely on the forester to address those concerns.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ms. Schwartzstein, was that anything else from you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Molly, any questions?
Yes, in fact, I have questions regarding these 5 dry wells. That 5 dry wells is a lot. And I'd like to know if soil investigations were carried out prior to the design, if they have any precipitation readings.
They haven't been to date. It's a requirement when you go in for a building permit with a grading plan. And that's the time we would do those. So that when there's a machine on site.
But you will be flexible in the location, determining the location of these 5 dry wells, right?
Well, what we try to put them, well, obviously we want to put them in a low point so we can drain to them by gravity. And we put them in the driveway area because they thought that was probably the simplest way and the least amount of disturbance. We really didn't want to put them at the bottom of the hill and take more trees down. We really were trying to do it in an area that has already been disturbed or we're going to disturb with construction.
Yeah, but mostly when we're disturbing an area, that's a rocky area. And that's not where we want to see a dry well go in.
I really wouldn't say that. It may be rocky on the surface, but when you get down 3 or 4 feet, it's going to be the same kind of soil as you have in the general area.
Okay.
Let me ask Mr. Dower. Mr. Dower, do you have anything to contribute on that question?
They do, as Bill mentioned, they have to submit a perk test for the soil. If it fails it, then they have to either move to another location on the property or redesign the seepage pit to have something that's going to go distribute the water over a bigger area. So it's not unusual, especially with the Clay and Summit. So they're used to it in City Hall, but that is a requirement, as Bill said, that they have to do all this testing ahead of time.
Okay, Mr. Molly, is that?
That's my own concern. Yeah, that will be a condition of the approval, right?
Yes. Okay, anything else, Mr. Molly?
No, thank you.
Mr. Whitegis, any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, anybody in the public? This is public's opportunity for questions. Questions only at this time. Is someone trying to ask questions? I see someone.
No, but we have a comment.
Okay, just
A comment comes later. Okay.
doing very good.
Okay. So I believe there's a second witness.
Tom?
Yep.
It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, we don't need to. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Everyone's got to keep in mind, this is not normal times. It's not a normal procedure. So we're doing the best we can.
Okay, so then your case is completed?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
So then we'll go to public comment. Anyone in the public want to comment on this case?
Well,
You don't have to.
Before we start,
can I?
hold on.
Wait, just wait 1 second.
Before we start, I'm going to need your name, full name, spell your last name, give us your street address, and then I'm going to put you under oath, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Didier Perron, and my wife Doris. 158 Hillcrest Avenue, so Caddy Corner across that property. And
Raise your right hand. now. Do you swear? Is that your left hand or your right? There you go. Yeah, I can tell it even on the computer. How about that? All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. You may proceed.
Well, my wife and I are quite concerned about the construction of the property. The property is next to an intersection. The road is quite small. There is no sidewalk. And there is a fairly sharp turn just west of the property. And with very poor visibility, it's a dangerous area. So we're quite concerned about the construction with all the trucks coming. And so we would like to request that all trucks be located on one side of the street only and not block the curve just west of the property.
And the visibility.
And the visibility is just horrible there.
Let me just stop you for 1 second.
Yes.
Ms. Alfonso, is that a possibility?
Can you give me 1 second, please? So I can
Yes. Yeah.
just make sure with.
And I can neighborhood here.
You gotta
talk to
pause.
neighbor.
Pause for a second, okay? And I'll add this, very slowly, I'll add this. If they agree to do this, it's not something that's required of them.
Yeah.
Okay?
But it is safety. It's not.
It's
You're right.
inconvenience and it's safety.
We get them to spell their full name.
P-E-R-O-N. P as in pack. E-R-O-N. 158 Hillcrest.
And your first name?
It's Didier. D as in David. D as in David. I-E-R.
Thank you.
158. I can say the neighborhood is quite concerned about that. The noise too. There's a lot of inconvenience that will go with it.
And
I think we should probably wait till Ms. We should wait till Ms. Alfonso's back because she's not hearing the conversation.
There you go. And
Hello.
we're back. What do you got there?
I had a chance to speak with Michael Cardone, the managing member of Cardone Contracting, the applicant, and he explained that they always try to keep their trucks on one side of the street. They never want to block any neighbors' driveways. And he's a very approachable person, so he'd be happy to hear from neighbors if there's something that he can do better as he's working, because he's frequently there on site.
So Dennis, can we craft some kind of condition along those lines?
If it's okay with you, Ms. Alfonso, I'm going to put that as a condition of approval. Your clients agreed to park or stage vehicles only on one side of the street during construction.
Yes.
Streets narrow, no sidewalks.
Understood.
Very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Lots of kids. And I'd be glad to.
We got to have balance, right? They have to be able to do the construction, but you're making a good insight, and nobody wants to have a problem or an accident. So we're telling them, we're alerting them. I think they'll be careful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the public have anything they want to say, pro or con? Seeing none, Ms. Alfonso, do you want to say anything in conclusion?
No, I appreciate your time, and I would put it to the board's review and consideration. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Galvin, conditions?
Sure. Here we go. 1, compliance with the board's engineer letter of February 24th, 2020. 2, compliance with the city forester's review letter, including the provision of a tree save plan and a landscape plan, both of which will be for his review and approval. 3, the generator is only to be exercised between the hours of noon and 3 p.m. between Monday and Friday. And 4, the applicant agreed to the safety concerns of the neighbor and will stage vehicles on only one side of the road.
Okay, thank you. Who'd like to start deliberations?
Oh, I will.
Okay, Michael, Mr. Ardieri?
Well, with hearing Mr. Hollows lay out the plan, as he always does, very, very cogently, well explained. And long as the perk tests come back in positive fashion, the dry wells are placed properly, minimal trees removed and trees replaced, I think this will be a great improvement to the neighborhood, and I think it is a good plan. I approve.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
This is Mr. Spur. Just a quick observation. I think I have a degree of discomfort with the plan overall, probably just because it's new construction and there is so much unknown. But frankly, we rely heavily upon our professionals, Mr. Dower, Mr. Linson, and others to kind of backstop us here. So I certainly could seek to approve the application, knowing that they'll hold this to the usual high standards.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a way, I mean, there's really no way to build on this lot without going for a steep slope variance. And the proposed construction, certainly the size is modest enough that there are no bulk or, floor area ratios or anything like that required. So I think it's a fairly modest proposal for a lot that, everybody will benefit by having a house on that lot again in the long run. And we're addressing the short-term safety concerns of the construction. So that's good. Anybody else, any contrary thoughts from board members?
Not contrary, but Joe Steiner, Chris Dower, we did not get a copy of the permit that was issued by the DEP or the riparian, the state permit. Is there anything in that is contrary to anything that the city of Summit would normally have?
No, they just, there were some limitations as far as what they could do within the permit limits, and they complied with that.
Okay, is there any reason that we should have seen that permit? Or any reason that we did not see that permit?
Quite honestly, I went online and found it. Now that I think of it, I probably should have shared that with the city, but it is available online, and it was pretty, it wasn't difficult finding it if you know where to look. But it was cut and dry as far as what was required.
Just, Chris did good by looking it up. I don't so sure that we would normally, board members would normally get that unless there was a problem.
I guess I was looking to see if there was a problem before we find out down the road.
You can have it and Chris will get it to you. But I think we should look at it as he went above and beyond by doing that.
Yeah, but I also think that it doesn't, I think that based on his analysis, we don't really need it, but at least somebody's looked at it.
He has.
Yeah.
I said, great.
Yeah, okay. We'll take comfort in that. Anybody else, any other board members have thoughts?
Can I digress for a second,
Sure.
Michael Arderi? I just noticed the note. If we covered this, I apologize, but note that no dimensions are provided on the architectural plans. Has that been covered or noted in this hearing?
We can make a condition of approval providing revised plans showing the dimensions if you'd like. Right now, this is a concept plan. So it will be substantially similar. It will definitely comply with all of the city's ordinances.
Okay. Well, these are Krista's notes. Okay. Fine.
Well, we would like that. We'll get that. Ms. Alfonso, I'll add that as a condition.
Okay, thank you. Good suggestion. Anybody else? Board members? Okay. Is there a motion to be made?
Mr. Spur makes a motion to approve.
I second.
Who second?
Michael Arderi.
Okay.
Vice Chairman Spur,
Yes.
Mr. Ladera,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Newell,
Yes.
and for the record, Mr. Mullen has rejoined the board and is eligible to vote for this. Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartzstein,
Yes.
and Chairman Yuko.
Yes, and thank you for putting Mr. Mullen back on the board. I'm not doing my job well tonight.
I thank you too.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's getting close to 9 o'clock. I want to take a short break. I suspect the next 6 weeks we're going to take a short break. I want to see how the break works on these things too. So don't go anywhere. I'm sure you won't, but I'm just going to mute my video here for a few minutes. I'll be right back. No more than 5 minutes.
You say after these messages.
Tu crois que ça y est? Ben, il ne parlait que de... Mais il ne parle pas de la maison.
Mr. and Mrs. Perone, you don't have to stay.
Yes,
We're
I
all
was
done.
about to disconnect.
You can stay and watch if you want. I mean, but you don't have to.
No, no, thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out what to get
All
out
right.
of.
Gotta get us out.
All right. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Hey, you did very well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Leave meeting, here,
Yeah.
here. Leave meeting.
Okay.
Okay, Dennis is back. We need a court reporter, and Mr. Mullen is missing, but we're almost there. There's the court reporter, and there's Mr. Mullen. Okay. I think we can go back on the record. And we have 162 Oak Ridge Avenue, Elizabeth and John Colley.
Hi there.
I guess that's Elizabeth Colley there.
Yes, yes. He's handling the kids right now. So Thank you very much for meeting this way. I know this is kind of an inconvenience to everybody, but I hope you're all staying safe, healthy, and sane during this time. No, it's very trying on everybody. Tell you a little bit. What'd you say?
We have you sworn in before we.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Calvin?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Raise your right hand. I forgot because of this. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your full name for the records and spell your last name.
My name is Elizabeth Culley. My last name is Culley.
Very good. You may proceed.
Thank you. Tell you a little bit about us. We've lived in Summit here for the last 7 years. We moved to our new home 2 years ago. It was a new construction home built by Menza and Bizel. I'm sure you're kind of familiar with their name in town. We purchased the home from them, so it was new construction. The home does not have a back patio currently built. So what we're looking to do is to install a new patio, which will then result in an impervious lot coverage, which exceeds the maximum by 1%. So in addition, we're proposing a stormwater management system to mitigate the increased storm runoff that will result from the new patio. A landscaping depression will be installed along the low side of the patio to collect and convey runoff from the patio to the new seepage pit and be installed behind the landscaped area. But net, we're looking at, by mandate, 35% lot coverage, and we will be increasing that to 36%.
Okay, before I forget to ask questions, Mr. Dow, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so your report had a comment about the existing dry wells and recommending that the trench be relocated to a minimum of 10 feet from the existing dry well. To make sure the applicant was aware of that and that's an acceptable condition.
Totally, it's not a problem.
And also the forester, I believe you mentioned screening, but the forester also said something about abandoning the use of the west side gate and install a new access gate to the south. Is that an acceptable condition as well?
We actually already have a access gate on the south. The one that he's referring to, we only have as a safety precaution, just has an extra exit point if there was ever in case of emergency. We actually don't use it. The only people that ever do use it currently are our landscapers, but we'd be happy to tell them not to use it.
Okay. All right, questions from, I assume you were done with your commentary. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Okay. And you have no witnesses, correct? You're on. Okay. Any questions from board members? I think I was going to call a roll, but anybody have questions for this witness? I'm not anticipating a lot. Any questions? I don't see any questions. Okay, nobody has questions. Okay, I thought this would be an easy one.
I was going to say it's a little easier than the last one.
Yeah. And I see nobody in public, but for formality's sake, I'll ask anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Seeing none. Anybody in the public want to tell us what they think about this case, pro or con? Once again, seeing none. Okay, Mr. Galvin, do you have any conditions we need to go over?
Just the two you just raised, Mr. Chairman. One, compliance with the engineer's letter, and two, the submission of a landscape plan to the city forester for his review and approval. The other thing I would note is the witness is well prepared, and I think what you should be concerned when something goes over lot coverage is with drainage, and they've addressed that. So it's very smart.
Okay, thank you. Who'd like to begin our deliberations?
I will. I think it's a modest, it's Liz Newell. I think it's a modest addition for the backyard, and also you addressed the drainage. So I think that made me want to approve this request.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Went out there earlier today and walked towards the back, and it's basically replacing a nice lawn area with a patio. And if that's what the homeowner wants, and they can handle the drainage, let's move it forward.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anything contrary? Okay. In that case, I will take a motion.
Motion to
Move its
approve.
approval. Liz moved it, I'll second it.
There you go.
All right, Vice Chairman Spur,
Yes.
Mr. Ladary,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Yes.
Ms. Newell,
Yes.
Mr. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Woodson,
Yes.
and Chairman Yuko.
Yes. Okay, good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
And board members, we have one piece of business. We have a set of minutes to approve. And there was one change today. I think the only change was to reflect that it was, we weren't meeting in person, it was some kind of a virtual meeting. I didn't review the change. I assume that's the only change that was made today.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the only change requested, and he just added the word virtual into the first paragraph.
I see it now. Okay, good. Okay. So with that, Mr. Nicola, what?
So we have the April 20th minutes to approve. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved, Spur.
Anybody want to make a second?
Second, Steiner, as I edited the virtual.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and
So our next meeting will be virtual also, and it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4 cases on the agenda for that meeting. Does that sound right, Ms. Nicola, based on what we carried today?
yes.
Okay. So we'll see you again on Zoom on June 3rd.
Cool.
I think this went well.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, everybody in
Good night.
favor of adjourning, please leave. Bye.
It is.